I'm so excited, guys. This is our biggest day of the year usually in the preseason, just for the fact that these round 2 team lists in the preseason are those that usually determine what we get in round 1. About 95% of it is usually bang on information, and we don't have to change too much from the teams that we get out of this. Obviously, there's going to be a few random selections, obviously, with the teams that are going over to Vegas for any of the squads that are still remaining and trialing here as well, obviously, which is going to be important. And here, we're getting my live reaction to these team lists. The only thing I know about so far is Jacob Kiraz, because NRL Physio has been talking a little bit about that in the Patreon group that keeps popping up. So, you get my live reaction. I'm super excited to check these out. Let's get into it. So, we kick things off with the Rabbitohs and the Roosters there. Wow. Thanks, Rabbitohs. Nah, that's right, guys. These two teams here are going over to Vegas. So, gets us all excited, and look at the squads that we end up with. We don't know many of these guys, let's be honest. I think I've heard of Brock Ray, Dylan Harper, big fella getting in there. So that's a bit of an anticlimax, isn't it, for these first ones? So Bunnies and Roosters, they're going to be playing on Friday night, but anyone who is traveling to Vegas is not playing in this game, obviously. So that's that. We'll leave that one there. Not too important for us. Obviously, the first game of Friday night. Sharks and the Bulldogs, very, very different here in this one. So, wow. Okay, let's see the Dogs straight up. And Blake Taaffe has been named at fullback, which is obviously good news for him in that one. Who don't we have in this squad? So in the reserves, Toby Sexton is there. None of our outside backs are there. So Connor Tracy's still not around as well. Stephen Crichton comes into this back line, and Addo Carr as well. Blake Wilson keeps his spot, which is interesting. He's fairly expensive for us in fantasy and SC. But Bronson Sherry has been named in that centre spot. Again, no Connor Tracy there. Kind of hurts that a little bit. No Kiraz as well, as we said. So I'll find out a little bit more on Jacob, who was obviously a bit of an interest for us in fantasy and Supercoach there. So I'll find out more information on that one there for sure. And then Bronson, we'll see what happens in round 1. This team looks like it could change slightly, that's for sure. Wow, but the massive one I didn't even notice here as well. But Farmasili opening the batting, I was going to say. Farmasili starting in this one. Kikau and Preston are back. We have Sam Hughes on the bench. We also have Josh Curran on the bench. That is wild, with Jamin Salmon in the starting 13 role. That is crazy. Surely we still see Josh Curran playing some decent minutes, to be honest with you there, because this does look like very close to a round 1 side. Wow, I did not expect at all Joshy Curran to be on the bench. So that could change things, obviously, come round 1. That's for sure. Do we look to start with someone coming off the bench who, at best then would probably be playing 60 minutes at best, but at worst could be like a 40-minute guy. If the way that Jamin Salmon looked the other day, he could be a sort of must-have. He would be a must-have, I should say, if he's starting in the 13 in both fantasy and Supercoach. So that is incredible news there. And Farmasili, I think he's going to be a lower minute type of guy, and Hughes will probably play close to that 40 through the middle, and Curtis Moran, I think, deserves that spot on the interchange as well. It'll be interesting to see how they play this one when they have like a Kiraz or a Connor Tracy. Does anyone in that back line, in a Zeri or a Blake Wilson, just come straight out? And it's probably most likely, I'd say, that's the way it goes. With Salmon at 13, that's huge. I think this is pretty close to their starting squad for round 1, with Drew Hutchison very much cementing himself in that spot, it looks like, which is big news, that's for sure. Okay, let's go to the Sharky side, and this back line here looks very, very similar to what we thought it was going to be and what it was last year. Oregon Kafusi gets the start there. Toby Rudolph is on the bench. Wow, okay. Oregon Kafusi is an interesting one, guys. He seems to have a fairly poor PPM, even though he looks really good out in the park, so something to think about with him. Teague Wilton gets to start with Nickera, and Cam McInnes is in there starting. So we don't have a Dal Finucane at this point. So, imagine McInnes, if he was to be starting, we know he's going to score well. But, that's that on that one. Jesse Colquhoun gets the bench spot. I think makes sense. Obviously, Kale Iro misses out in this one is kind of the biggest news. And, we thought that was going to happen. And, we'll keep it at that. So the Sharks team list, nothing too crazy apart from Rudolph on the bench. So, I thought he'd be starting for sure. But Oregon, they're going to kick it off with and see how that goes. That Dogs one is absolutely massive, isn't it? I can't believe that Josh Curran news. It's definitely gone against what I thought. But, let's talk about him actually, because the last 2 years, that last year obviously he did have a lot going on off the field and everything, but he kind of fell out of favour there, obviously, and then he's gone to the Dogs here, and they've pushed for James Salmon, and he's a great player, so I'm not going to push back on that at all. I think he deserves that spot. Like, he looked great on the weekend. If that's the way they want to play him at 13, and Curran's like a bench middle forward, wow. Yeah, that's got me. We'll have to wait till round 1 for that one. But I'm going to field a lot of questions on him, I'd imagine, for sure. So very, very interesting. And Stephen Crichton at centre with Taft getting the 1. So Crichton, I think you have to avoid definitely now. Let's look at the Storm. All right, we have Jonah Pezzett, no Cam Munster. We have Meaney and Remus Smith in the centres, Warbrick and Coates on the wing. That seems pretty normal. We have Kane Bradley. Oh my. It is all happening. Kane Bradley gets the start. Trent Liero getting the 13 role, so they obviously weren't too stressed with how he looked the other day. Josh King moving into the 10 role. So, yeah, Kane Bradley's kind of come from the clouds. There's a little bit of chat about him, obviously, on the weekend, played pretty well in the trial, but, okay. So, Kane Bradley, if he's named there to start, Liero's clearly moved into the middle, so it's now going to be Bradley, or it's going to be Sean Bloor. But for Sean Bloor to be in the reserves, does that mean he's going to come on and get a few minutes in this one? Jack Howarth in the reserves as well. Same with Marion Seve. Bronson Garlick as well. So they've gone for Wishart as their 14. Tristan Powell, I don't know too much about. Joey Chan sneaks into a chance there as well. But Kane Bradley, we'll do a bit of a deeper dive on Kane, obviously, over the next few days as well, which is going to be cool. But that's a massive, massive team list change for the Storm as well. So if you're my mid-range guys are going to have to be moved on, it looks like, and we're going to get some cheapies, which makes things very interesting. I can't wait for this next week. That's going to be hectic. Wow. All right. Yeah, we'll leave that for the Storm. So any massive changes, guys, we're kind of reacting to it as we see it, and I'm sure you guys are laughing at me in my reaction right now because I definitely didn't expect anything like this for sure. But we'll get further into these guys as it goes over the next few days. For the Knights there, Nari Tuwala has won the wing jersey over Jenkins at this point, which makes sense. There's a fair bit of chatter. I heard Guru talking about it. He sort of had the inside word that Inari was going to be getting it. Again, we'll look at him, but he's just never seemed to be a good fantasy or Supercoach scorer. So that's there. Tyson Gamble and Hastings get the 6 and 7, which makes sense. The rest stays the same. Forwards as well, it all sticks the same there as well. Kai Pearce-Paul off the bench, so he'll obviously get some time through this trial. That's the main issue with Dylan Lucas and how much I love him, but if Lucas is in there as the starter, but he's only getting 60 minutes, that makes it pretty tough for him. I'm still really keen on Elliott. I want to see how this looks at 13. And if they're using an interchange like this, then it'll be interesting to see if a Gamble or a Hastings comes off during a game, like in a round 1 or in a real game, not a trial. And Cogger comes in there, or he comes on and plays some 9, or he just plays as an extra ball player or something like that. Because what you're looking at here is Hetherington, Pearce-Paul on the emergencies, where Hetherington's been playing a little bit of edge, a little bit of middle. So I'm really looking at this going, okay, Adam Elliott's going to play massive minutes. If Lucas is playing 60, Kai Pearce-Paul 55 or something like that, Kai Pearce-Paul will play the other section of that. Saifidi will get his sort of 40-odd minutes. He's about 46 last year, so he's a 45 guy. Jacob Saifidi's a 40 guy. Leo Thompson close to that 50 mark. Frizzell pretty well 80. I think Elliott's the 60-65 comfortably. And then Hetherington, that's sort of 20 or so there. So Cogger might play a decent role here as a 40 or 50 minute to cover the rest of it as another ball player, I think, there as well. Yeah, so guys to miss out, obviously, Tom Jenkins. We don't get David Armstrong, which, people were hoping for at the cheap price. But it looks like we've got a couple other cheap forwards, which is pretty fun at that. So that's the Knights on that one. Let's move on. Do we get a fun one here? Warriors and the Dolphins. All right, we get some fun. Tane to a biggie. So news came out today that Chance has a hamstring niggle. So we'll see how he goes over the next few weeks as well. We don't get Ali. That's sad. Rocco Berry back into his spot. With Dallin there returning, Roger and Marcelo on the other side as well. So that's exactly how that's going to line up there. Kurt Capewell, Mitch Barnett, Shawnee Johnson with Metcalf, Wade Egan, Bunty, Nikore, Lussick, and Jazz. Exactly what we thought. Wow, Dylan Walker doesn't make this team. And obviously Ali in 21, Tamati Martin in 23 with Chanel Jacob Laban in 24 and 25. So yeah, I suppose it's pretty well how we thought it would. I was hoping for Lea Taua to make that center spot. So he'll come out of my team now, sadly. Okay. Wow, big news here. Big news on the Dolphins. It's actually worked out that way. Wow. So maybe he's actually really struggling, or surely he can't be out of favour right now, and that's Lemuelu, because Aiken gets that 12 spot, which is massive for us. Obviously, if he can be there in round one as a centre option, a very safe centre option. They've then got Averillo on the bench at 16, so yeah, that's interesting as well. Tessie New gets that spot. I suppose that it looked like that was going to be the way to go. He kept playing in the centre spot. Averillo not named to start last game. Heard his stocks, Jack Bostock in there, talk about stocks. He looked better, and I think all the mail was that he was going to get the wing spot, and he's definitely got that. Herbie and Tessie. So Tessie's still fairly expensive though, so it's hard to sort of pick him, but he looked better. Aiken's the one that will firmly go into most people's sides, that's for sure, given he is going to be playing back row. Scores really well in the back row in this team. And you can get him at centre, which is awesome. Nichols, Valance, Averillo, Donahue, Jared Wallace in the 24 as well. So they've got a lot of quality players. Cody Nikarima as well in the 22. So that's wild. Again, we'll find out obviously in round one how this looks and if it's similar to this. But at the moment they've got a lot. Kenny Bromwich in the 20. That's a lot of and Lemuelu obviously. So there's a lot of quality in their emergencies. Similar to that with the Warriors there as well. So super interesting couple of team lists there. That's for sure. Wow, team list 2 preseason trials never disappoints. That's for sure. And again, just majority of this is going to come through next week as well. Absolutely incredible. All right, these two, we don't get much out of this one. The Eagles and the Broncos. Jamie Humphries is going to play 6 with Wakeham 7. Gordon Chancum-Tong not going over to Vegas, it looks like. So that's interesting. Neither is Humphries. Carl Lawton is not there. Nathan Brown is not there. Ben Condon is, along with Dean Madison. Brad Parker going to play on the edge. Sipley obviously getting another trial after he got banned for the first 3 games. So that's that's big to note. Wow. Another one that's big to note, guys, is Jaden Hunt. It has been named in this side here, so he's not going to Vegas likely unless they wanted to get some minutes in him and then get him to travel over. But again, we'll find out a lot of this information, I think, over the next few days. We obviously heard that Schuster wasn't going to be named in this one, and that's exactly how that played out. But expect like Carl Lawton to be the 14 then. In my opinion, that's probably why they started him at 9, because he's going to cover that 9 position in Vegas for him. So there you go. Very, very interesting for the Broncos there. Again, not too much. Blake Moser obviously not going over there either. That's probably it to see on that one. All right, Dragons, Tigers. All right, Flanagan named. They're pretty much naming the same team. Am I correct? Tom Eisenhuth named again in the back row. Very, very interesting. Ben Minock-Masila, Raymond Faitala-Mariner off the bench. Viliami Fafita on the bench as well. So that's interesting news for a middle forward rotation there. Blake Laurie, Francis Molo there, DeBellin in 13. It looks like Eisenhuth has got that spot at the moment. But again, how many minutes is that going to look like for him? And what do we think with that one? Is there anyone in the Dragons you're interested in? Obviously, Sloan named at fullback again with Lomax in the wing. Doesn't really help anyone, does it? Where's Dan Russell? Well, Dan Russell in 26. He's well out of favour. Dan Russell. At the moment, he's nowhere near close to it. And Dylan Egan is completely out. So, scratch him out of anyone's thoughts. Dylan Egan. That's probably it. Hey, like, Vidam Fafita, obviously really cheap. Middle rotation there would include, really, it's Minock-Masila, Raymond, Fafita. Marshke's going to take some minutes off Little. Eisenhuth, does he play the full 80? There's a good chance he could, to be fair. Jack DeBellin, I think this is pretty good signs for him for decent minutes as well. Molo, Laurie, obviously, mixing, not massive minutes, obviously, 40 to 50. Laurie played the bigger minutes. I don't see any of these guys in Fafita or Minock-Masila being big minute guys, so Raymond will probably take the bigger minute efforts off the bench. But still I think it spells good signs for someone like Eisenhuth, who we've been interested in. I need a big trial out of him if I'm going to look to take him in my side, that's for sure. For the Tigers, guys, in the outside backs, Olam is in there. Stafford Toa is in as well. Sullivan, Caesar. Happy Carousel, obviously the big news for him was him goal kicking, which is very helpful. We still see no Bateman, unfortunately. He's not even on the reserves. No, he's not. So, yeah, Samuel Fainu, Pole, Alex Twal, Lockie Galvin on the interchange. So, maybe they're looking... Lockie didn't play in the last trial, but that means that they're definitely looking at him as a potential guy off the interchange bench. Unlikely to play hooker. So, we're thinking here that Appy is a good chance of playing close to 80 on a weekly basis because they don't have a genuine hooker in the 14 role. That's something to think about with this one. Seyfarth named in the 13 again is massive, and he's definitely someone to look at in your sides. That's for sure. I want to get another good look at him, hopefully some decent minutes. But obviously, guys, with these trials, a lot of this is going to come out in round one, but there are going to be injuries. There are going to be suspensions that come out of this for sure. So it's definitely something to think about as well over the next few days. So, yeah, we'll leave that one there. All right, Raiders. Ooh, things have changed here, that's for sure. So we got Osamoa, who I don't know. Albert Hopewadi in the 1 jersey. So our boy is Gonski's Nick Kotrick. I was going to say Nick Stewart. Nick Kotrick on the bench, so he's out of favour. Chevy Stewart in the 18. He's Gonski. Zach Hosking in the 22, so he's not even close at the moment. Adam Mariota in the 25. Wow. What are they trying to do here? Jed Stewart gets on the bench. Okay, Trey Mooney as well with Kotrick and Starling. I don't like that bench at all. That's a young bench. That's for sure. Morgan Smithies gets the 13 role. Josh Papali'i is back. Danny Levi in the 9. Didn't we expect that to happen, hey? Played less minutes in that trial last time, and now he's in the starting role. So that's huge. KO Weeks and Strange. We still don't see Fogarty. They'd say he's carrying a bit of an injury, and I think that's tough signs for us just to not see him at all in a trial. At all. As I said, is pretty tough on that one. So Smithies, I'm keen to see him, obviously. Weeks and Strange in there. Xavier Savage in the 5. Obviously Schiller in the centre spot with Timoko. Wow, they could be making a lot of changes here. Austin Moore, I have no idea about. So if Kotrick's out of favour, likely, who have they got in here to pop in? Who's out from last game? No one. Yeah, right. Gee. A lot changes in this game, hey? A lot changes in this game. So K Weeks and Ethan Strange. If Fogs is not back in round 1, which, there's still 2 weeks away, guys, as well, so keep that in mind. But we get another hit out with them too, which is good. Schiller, we get to see if he comes out and dominates, but that could be a scary position there, that Schiller position. Seb Chris, he has been training mainly at centre, so, wow, if Albert Hopewadi ends up... They might think the Stewart's not ready. If Albert Hopewadi plays good on the weekend, and I think there's a good chance he's named at 1, which is massive now. Again, not sure on Osamoa. Let's see how he goes. But, Danny Levi named to start. Let's have a look at Smithies. Yeah, huge. All right, Cowboys, my boys. Drinkwater 1. Felt gets the wing spot in this one. Where's Semi Valame? He is on the reserve. So, yeah, okay. He's out of it. Finafuriaki is out of it as well. Michele, the only thing here I'm thinking is that because they got the trial in the last one, that they could be in the reserves, but it could also mean that they were in that first trial because they were in the reserves. That's the other way to look at it. So we get to see Dearden and Townsend. Looks like Zach Labart getting the centre spot. Most likely is how we thought it was going to go. Robson is in there, which is exactly what we thought. We get to see him, which is good. Jordan McLean and also Jason Taumalolo. Keen to see how he looks, Jace, obviously. For the Cowboys and obviously for fantasy and Supercoach teams. Hilam Lukey, guys, obviously a super exciting prospect. I'm very, very keen to see him on that edge. And with the way that this interchange has been named, that'll be very close to their starting 17 guys, pending injuries. Granville at 14 doing his thing. McIntyre, I think, is deserving of this spot. He looked really good in the trial. Griffin Neem is great, and Cohen Hess has been there for a while now. Cotter in 13. You're looking at this interchange bench. It's obviously all forwards, so it's very hard to see massive minutes for any one of McLean, Tamalolo, and Cotter, just because of the 4 forwards there. And I think that's how they'll name it on TLT next week, or it's a couple of weeks away, whatever it is for Cowboys. And that's the only issue with getting a massive minute middle, unless McIntyre was to come on and play some minutes for Lukey, which, again, they've mucked around with Lukey's minutes for a while now. And, very, very interesting, those 2 teams. Are we done? We got one more. Something like that. 2 more? 1 more? Yeah, 1 more. Alrighty. And then we'll get we'll get to see the Panthers one as well as in that one. Okay, let's finish it off, guys. Keanu Keeney has been named. He's very much firmly in my side at this point. Jacob Arlick gets named at the edge position as well, which is cool. We expected Brian Kelly and AJ Brimson with Khan Pereira. Mofo with Palacia starting is very, very interesting. Chris Randall and Aaron Clark both on the bench with Jamin Jolliffe and Khalees Haas. Jojo Fafita misses out. Isaac Fa'asulamala-Awi, Harley Smith-Shields, and Joe Stimson on the reserves as well. Holy moly, Ryan Madison on the reserves. Sorry, we'll get there in a second. I'm jumping around. But yeah, Bofo more in that starting spot. Jacob Arlick looks like, guys, he'll probably only get a couple of weeks. That's the main issue, is picking up someone like him, but he does score well when he gets an opportunity. Boyd and Foran in there as well. So Keeney's the one I'm looking at here, guys. Very, very interested in that. And has Keenan Palacia made the jump and improved? That's probably the two things to look at. Exactly what I thought the backline would be for the Eels with Will Penasini, Bailey Simonson. He's been playing really well as a centre. I have both of them as incredible purchases coming into this season, and one's obviously cheaper with the dual. One's just centre, but a bit more, done it for a longer period of time. Probably a little bit more talent as a centre. I do really like Bailey on that left-hand side there with Dylan Brown as well. The forwards there on this one, you've got Lussick at 9, Brendan Hands at 14. Very, very interesting how this is going to look. Ryan Madison 18 is the wild one, to be honest with you. Morgan Harbour misses out, which is what I expected. I think Simonson is better. We're going to move Greg. He'll get some minutes in the middle, which is good. Kelma Tuolangi there gets a look at the bench here for the back row. The edge back row there. Joel Fangawe makes that team as well, which is very, very interesting. What do we think of this interchange? So really, in this one with Lussick and Hands, are you thinking that it's just to get them both some game time and see which one plays better? I think that's the case, but really interesting that Hands was the one to play in the first trial when they had the majority of their reserves. Does that mean he's second in line? Wanted to get him some more minutes, or did he need an extra bit of a show for them? I suppose the big thing is that last year when they brought Joey Lussick in, Hands was completely dropped straight away. So does that mean Lussick is ahead? And it probably does at this point. Lane and Cartwright getting the back row, exactly what we thought. Hopgood at 13 is going to be a great option. Obviously, if they go for the double hooker, that means there's a few more minutes to go around in the middles. Hopgood should play big minutes there, and it'll depend on if they go 80 out of Cartwright and Lane, or are they going for a 60-minute from one of them. And like Sean Lane, I'm a bit worried about to get that 60 minutes, to be honest with you, given Cartwright played the whole year last year and played big minutes for the most of it. Or is Cartwright going to play some lower minutes, which he did in some games last year? Madison in the reserves is absolutely wild how that works out. So yeah, I think we're going to leave it at that, guys, for the team list for the week. I'll find the Panthers one as well, if that one comes up. Not sure if it will. In this one, don't think they've named one yet, have they? No. Anyway, that's it for this video, guys. That was a crazy team list Tuesday. I'm going to look, whilst this is uploading, I'm going to be checking out my squad and moving a few things around, getting Jamin Salmon in my team and Mr. Bradley, and taking out Sean Bloor. An incredible team list Tuesday. I hope you guys have a cracking time playing around with your team over the next day or two, and I'll get plenty of videos out over the next bunch of days. Obviously, a few of them are already recorded, and we'll go from there, guys. So thank you for that. We'll see you in the next one.